Son pronta a te.
Hi everyone and welcome back to the Academy of Bel Canto and the Mystery Bel Canto podcast. My name is Joseph Cianciulli. I am the founder of the Academy of Bel Canto and the host of the Mystery Bel Canto podcast. As always, we are bringing old world Bel Canto concepts to the modern day teacher via my 10 plus year study with Danny E. Montes, who documented the lineages of Lottie Lehman, of Modesti, of Manuel Garcia, all through Raz M. Evans, who was the apprentice to Lottie Lehman and the apprentice to John C. Wilcox. So today we are talking about portamenti. Now what is it? How is it applied? It's not just a concept, it's also a technique that's applied within the Bel Canto schools of voice building, and there is a specific reason. I will give you a musical example towards the end of this short video, but let's start with what is portamenti. So portamenti is essentially when you have one vowel and multiple notes that you sing that one vowel on. So, for example, in Un'aura amorosa, okay, Mozart aria, you have un'aura amorosa, and the aura, un'aura, you have two notes, but they have the same vowel, essentially. Un'aura. The u comes at the very, very end. And if that's not enough of an example, you could add del nostro. Del nostro is the same thing. Del nostro. You have two notes, but the same vowel. So you apply portamenti technique in situations like this. Now this is basic portamenti technique that we're talking about now. There is more advanced portamenti that happens when you have maybe runs or many notes in a row throughout an aria or a song, and that's where you would use the more advanced portamenti technique. Now, just a note, when I started my study with Dan, I had already sung a number of Mozart arias, and Un'aura amorosa was one of those arias that I was singing, and he took me completely off of it and said, until you learn to sing one, coup de cloche, because it starts with a vowel, as we spoke about with coup de cloche, un'aura, not un'aura, which is what I was doing. And until you learn portamenti, which is the what we're talking about today, you cannot approach that aria because you're just going to be encouraging muscle and you'll be manipulating. So let's get into portamenti. What is it? It's a postural shift that helps to maintain the focus of the sound. So the idea with Bel Canto is that we rely on the very, very simple sensation of squillo leading the body, and squillo, as I've talked about before, was described by Dan as the folds release to allow resonance to move forward from the body. You know, the very, very first side effect of the folds releasing to create sound, he said that very, very first sound as the folds release, as the last bit of fold release, that is squillo. He said, now when you muscle, you can create more squillo, yes, but you fatigue the folds. Even though you may not feel it right away, over time you fatigue the folds. And this is very common with young singers because young singers have more stamina. Their voices recover faster, okay? Not necessarily, I shouldn't say they have more stamina, but because of their age, their voices recover faster. So they experience the fatigue less and less. But what happens is when those same 20 and 25-year-old singers start singing the same way in their mid-30s, their early 40s, the voice starts showing signs of fatigue, and they blame it on the environment, their health, their age, but really it's about the technique. It's about their approach to the voice, and over time they've been fatiguing the voice, and it takes a toll. So, what do we do with portamenti? So I'm going to take the second part, the del nostro, okay? Del nostro. So, what you do is you bring the sides of the lips, the little quarters here, in gently. Del nostro. Be very careful, teachers. We are not encouraging a change in the quality of sound. What this does, del nostro, or un'aura, is it helps to focus into the nares bone. Now, whether we focus it on it or not, when we are singing with squillo, there's a bit of a contraction into the nares bone, or at least a resonance, a vibrating of the nares bone. Okay, and we feel squillo moving forward with that pairing of the contraction in the nares bone. So when we encourage a little bit of inward motion together on the second note, or the transition into the next note of the portamenti, we encourage a focus, not just into the nares bone, for men especially, into the mustache line, which is where a lot of us feel the vibration of squillo, or we feel the squillo the most prominent when the voice is free. We can feel it vibrating here, here, here. Yes? So, un'aura amorosa, with everything in Bel Canto, you overdo it in the beginning, meaning you over-exaggerate the shapes, un'aura, without trying to compromise the quality of the vowel and the word clarity. But you do it so that as you become more competent in it, you can make it smaller and smaller and smaller. So, the first one, un'aura amorosa nel nostro tesoro. Yes? So you want to encourage that movement inward. Nel nostro. I'm over-exaggerating it a little bit so you can hear. And then tesoro, same thing. Tesoro, tesoro. Not tesoro. No manipulation. Remember, you can only get involved with the posture. You can't get involved with the resonance. You can only get involved with the posture and the release of that resonance. So, just to recap, when we're talking about portamenti, it is a technique that is applied in Bel Canto to maintain focus when you have multiple notes in the same vowel, because you want to maintain the frontal focus. Now, if you went un'aura, it pulls down and back. Un'aura, un'aura. I have your muscles starting to get involved here. And this is what most singers do, is they just keep the same shape in the posture. And what that does is over time that'll fatigue by the end of the aria. Okay, so this has been your introduction to portamenti. If you have any questions or you want to go deeper into Bel Canto and Bel Canto training, based on my experience in the Bel Canto lineages of Manuel Garcia, of Modesti, of Ladi Lehman, all through Razem Evans and Denny Montes, we have our online courses. We do have also our books if you're interested in just reading about the lineages and about how to use vowel and consonant combinations in combination with posture. They are very, very important to the training within our school of Bel Canto. And of course we have lessons for professional and pre-professional singers as well as teachers seeking some clarity and some additional tools to work with their students. So that can all be found at our on our website at www.academiabelcanto.com, but you could also send us an email at vocalmastery1@gmail.com, and we will see you for our next lesson.